Well, the jobless rate may be ticking down a bit, but with nearly 12 million Americans still out of work, unemployment benefits are still way up. Now, one state wants to make it tougher for some fired workers to collect unemployment. Missouri pushing a bill to ban benefits for workers canned for misconduct or for missing too many days. Now, proponents say this will help protect benefits for people who really deserve them. Are they right or wrong? Hi, everybody. I'm David Asman. Welcome to Forbes on Fox. Let's go in focus with Steve Forbes, Ungar, Rich Karlgaard, John Tamny, Sabrina Schaeffer, and Mike Ozanian. So, Mike, is this a good law?
David, I'm not familiar with the precise details of this law, but one thing we have learned is that incentives to work. The states that give the shortest duration of unemployment benefits, by and large, have lower unemployment rates than the states that give long duration of unemployment benefits. So in principle, I'm for this plan.
Well, Steve, and the question is, should workers who are fired for, say, sleeping on the job receive unemployment benefits? Because they can now. That's what this law is trying to change.
I know what the law is trying to do, David, and it's a nice concept, but in the real world it's going to be very tough to work because big government types are going to latch onto this and, in effect, write rule books for workplace rules and conditions. So government can become intrusive. It's also going to be a green light for trial lawyers going in and saying you shouldn't have done this or you should have done that. So nice concept, but I think extremely difficult to execute.
Sabrina, is this a good law or a bad one?
Well, I love the idea of the law. I think anyone who's been a business owner, who's managed an organization, knows what a drain a bad employee can be. But realistically, implementing this, I'm afraid we're inviting government more into the workplace. I think we're going to see an uptick in litigation, and I'm not sure it's going to do much to change employee conduct.
But, Rich, once again, if I'm a boss and somebody's literally sleeping on the job, do they, and I fire the person for doing that, do they really deserve unemployment benefits?
Yeah, probably not. But as Sabrina and Steve have pointed out, what if the firing is due to some misinterpreted joke that somebody thinks is harassment and somebody thinks is innocent? I mean, you get into these gray areas and you invite a lot of government intrusion and lawsuits in. So I think Missouri has done the wrong thing for the right reason. We surely have to bring down the cost of unemployment benefits, but this is walking into over landmines.
Well, John, let's be specific. The cost of these unemployment benefits are $42 billion a year. That's enormous cost for governments in paying people, some of whom deserve to be canned.
Yeah, I like this law because I don't think government should be paying out these benefits. And let's remember, businesses suffer the most because they pay into these unemployment systems, and in doing so, it raises the cost for them of luring workers back from the sidelines. And as for the notion of this being unfair, I would argue that we as Americans live in the richest country on earth, while much of the rest of the world is impoverished. Life isn't fair, and we better hope that if life ever becomes fair, we're going to have to end up living like other people. Thank goodness life is unfair right now.
All right, and again, Rick, the point is that a lot of people are unemployed who don't deserve to be unemployed. Our economy should be growing much faster than it is. It's a shame on the nation that we have an unemployment figure that's as large as it is, but there are some people who deserve to be fired, right?
Sure, but that unfortunately isn't the point here. A lot of the folks on the panel have gotten this right. Steve got it right. Look, sounds great politics. It's another one of this endless stream of state bills that we're seeing these days. They could never pass judicial scrutiny. They're wasting the time of the people who send them to their state houses. They are going to spend millions defending these laws that are never going to make it through the courts. It just can't work.
Hold on a second. Let me be specific on here, Rick. In what way do you think this law is unconstitutional? There's nothing. Hold on. There's nothing in the Constitution about our right to receive unemployment benefits.
No, that's not the problem. You're absolutely right about that. That's not the issue. We have something called being void for vagueness. You can't create a law that sets up a situation like this. Who decides who is slacking? Who decides who was correctly fired and who is incorrectly fired? Do you want every small business in America to now have to print a manual every year setting out all the rules?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's just bring it down to basics for a second here, Steve. Shouldn't the boss be the one who decides whether a person deserves to be fired?
No, that's not the issue here, David. The boss should have the right to hire and fire as they see fit to the best interest of their company. But in terms of unemployment benefits, what you're inviting is the government to come in and determine whether that was a justifiable firing or not.
But, Mike, the government is, hold on a second, the government is already in to the tune of $42 billion a year.
That's right, and it's created a big disincentive to work. If you look at this recovery, David, the increase in unemployment insurance, particularly the 2008 bill passed by Congress, reduced the incentive to work. So what's happened is the labor participation rate under this so-called recovery has actually declined, which is very unusual. Under the Reagan and Clinton recoveries, the labor participation rate increased, which is what you should be having during a recovery.
And John, once again, John Tamny, nobody likes to see people unemployed who want to work, but there are some people who are unemployed who don't necessarily want to work. Should they be receiving these unemployment benefits?
No, they should not. I mean, let's remember, rich countries have high unemployment precisely because rich countries can pay out benefits that create a disincentive for workers to get back into the workforce. States are supposed to be laboratories of ideas. I don't know why there's an aversion to trying this in one state.
Steve, incentives matter and experiments matter. If it works, why not stick with it?
Well, again, you're going to invite, I can tell you, in the real world, you're going to invite the trial lawyers and government bureaucrats to be writing these manuals. And a better way is to reform the whole unemployment insurance program. There are ideas around, for example, in the future, have it like a 401k. The employee puts money aside if they have a bout of unemployment. They determine what benefits they get. So there are positive reforms that can be done. But I just don't think, I just think this invites more government, and I don't want more government in the workplace.
No, and I think most of us here don't. But Rich Karlgaard, you're always saying that states are the great sort of petri dishes where we can experiment with ideas. Why not go along with this? Use this Missouri law as an experiment to see how it works.
Well, for all the legal landmines that were talked about, plus this, the true problem really occurs at the other end of the stick, and that's the disability. People are gaming the disability system, and that's why we've seen disability claims go up 4x during the Obama's presidency. That's where the bulk of the money is. That's where the experiment should take place.
And Mike, in fact, that's to the tune of $100 billion rather than $42 billion. So but aren't they sort of part of the same package? That is, people gaming the government welfare system.
Right, and it's been encouraged by this big Washington mentality where you've seen a lot of the welfare payments increase under the guise of, well, things aren't good, we have to help them, but you actually create a disincentive, which is why this has been the worst recovery we've had since the Depression.
Sabrina, quickly, go ahead.
That's right. I mean, look at California's disability system. It is a disaster, and it is ripe with fraud. But I would say that the economy, as it stands right now, should be incentive enough for employees to want to perform well on the job. You don't want to lose your job right now. I don't think we need another law to step in the way.
All right, gang. Thank you very much. Up next, lots of controversy over the FBA ruling that 15-year-olds should be able to buy the morning after pill. But someone here says something that may be even more controversial. Just let the private market decide who can and who cannot buy that and everything else. A heated debate you don't want to miss coming next.